Hi, my name is Joseph Alai. Welcome to my channel. And today is the continuation of the concept of non-duality related to time and how our reality works through the breaking down and systematically testing and examining the teachings of Neville Goddard, systematically putting to the test these manifestation techniques from hundreds of lecturers, of authors, of teachers, and ultimately how to modify and change your reality in a way that is proven that works. We go down, we find the common denominator between these teachings, what was truly intended. I go into that. And in this one, by the end, you will know how to change beliefs easily with no problem, no strain, no repetition, nothing. A simple and methodical reason with the story of how I figured this out, so that you can utilize this and prove to yourself what is possible and what isn't possible through manifesting. And what I mean by that is by the end, you will be able to take a pen to a paper, write specific things down, and you will control your reality and automatically manifest. It's essentially constructing and modifying the ledger that exists within the subconscious of all your beliefs and judgments that you've ever made. And so that by the end, you can control and modify reality how you see fit. Now, this can prove and disprove that time is not a belief, nor is space. It's not a belief. And the way to prove this is to use this technique. First, prove that it works, as all my students have in the past. Prove that this works, and then utilize the same thing. I want you by the end to have a firm understanding of the truth of the universe. I have a mathematical and physicist background. This is what I went to university for. I have an obsessive mind. And when I was learning this stuff with a blank slate, it was in a life or death manner. So I had no skin in the game as to what I believed, what I didn't believe. It was all just to prove how I could change my life from the brink of death to success. Before we begin, hit the subscribe button. Right? It does something to the algorithm so that those who wouldn't normally be able to see this video will be able to see it. Hit the subscribe button if you want more broken down, systematic interpretations, breakdowns, sieved down, boiled, tens of thousands of manifestations tracked since 2011. I give you objective scientific theory, no opinion-based manifestation that you can use and implement anytime, any place that works, and that I've helped thousands and thousands of people obtain and manifest anything as per testimonials, as per experience. So hit that subscribe button for that, and hit the bell icon to be notified every Tuesday and Friday, and other platforms as well. Make sure you follow me. Instagram, it's josephali.manifest or something like that. Someone in the comments correct me on that. TikTok now, I've just slowly started making content. And also make sure you're following me because I have shorts and stuff like that I'm posting now on here. So let's talk about the concept of time again, furthermore, and make sure you watch all the way to the end because I do have a message for those of you who stay tuned. One more thing I want to talk about, which I've mentioned in a sense, is the term imagination, mind, consciousness, God, and I am. And I said this in the beginning, but it's very important to touch this more critically. And it's the difference between awareness and the mind. Awareness itself is the core. It is God. Be still and know that I am God is the quote in scripture, which is saying when you move and remove the mind, remove thoughts, remove your feelings and experiences, literally. I'm not saying these words lackadaisically. I'm saying specifically remove thoughts and experiences, your pure awareness. That means remove all sensations as well, your entire consciousness of Joseph Alai. And the only thing that's left is pure consciousness. This is the I am. This is God. But when we become aware, the statement, the word of symbols, Yad He Vav He, describes, you revert back to pure consciousness. You're no longer the human form. In that formula, Yad He Vav He, which is Jehovah, which is translated to God incorrectly, is that it's awareness, being aware of something, and that manifesting. We are in that fourth and last phase all the time. And when we manifest, if we're lucky, we revert back to the infinite. Now keep that in mind. That's the phrase, the origin of all. That is the proof that our mind is not God. It's consciousness ourself. Consciousness all things arise within consciousness. The fact that you are aware of consciousness, of mind, or of an object or a thing or a thought or a feeling, is the fact that it's appearing within something. So there's the thing, and then there's awareness. So in other words, you are not your mind. You are not your body. When a thought, this is another practice of non-duality, but that is another proving point to show the difference. When a thought arises, do you gain a part of yourself? When a thought fades, do you lose a part of yourself? When you're young and grow bigger, are you growing more of yourself? When you're old and shrinking down, are you losing part of yourself? If you lose a limb, are you losing part of yourself? When you have a feeling, are you gaining part of yourself? Are you changing the nature of yourself when you are mad? Are you a better person when you're happy? No, these are all just experiments to run through to show the difference between the mind and consciousness. And a misconception is that people are confusing the ego mind and consciousness because of Neville's quoting of the phrase, imagination is Christ, or imagination is God. But really, in the Kabbalah and the non-dual interpretation, the metaphysical interpretation of the Bible, what it's saying is Christ is actually consciousness in the form or illuminating man's mind. So it's not the mind itself, it's not imagination itself, it is the consciousness that's illuminating it. And that is the difference between the mind or the ego self and the true self. That's a critical distinction. That is a critical factor of what Neville is teaching. That's a critical factor of what non-duality and the Bible is teaching. So, and with that said, the fact, again, that thoughts exist within consciousness, that means beliefs exist within consciousness, which means consciousness is the origin, the screen, and all that exists here is a result of it, an activity of it. It's all the same substance. The fact that we are aware of a thought, the fact that we are aware of this phone that's in front of me recording, the fact that I'm aware of my feelings, the person in front of me, I perceive them, they exist within my awareness. They are actually none other than the material called awareness, or in other words, God. So it's not saying that the mind, the ego mind is God. It's saying everything is God, including my girlfriend, including your enemy, including your specific person, including the worst person on the face of the earth. You are all one and the same, shared reality, same self. The self of man is God. He says, I am, that is my name throughout all generations, which means everyone who says I am is God. That doesn't mean they have their own reality. God is all places at once, but he is not dissected. You cannot stop consciousness one place to arise at another. That would leave things half possible. And people say infinite realities would mean God is infinitely small, which disproves the whole concept of the Bible. If you want to understand this concept of time, you've got to take this whole idea of separate realities and flip it on its head. It's a shared reality with separate minds, but of the same shared awareness or consciousness, illuminating each mind so that consciousness, can experience itself, all of that what's in it, and period, so that it can experience itself and experience. So that is just a touch of this concept of time, this touch of this concept of non-duality. And I hope I was capable of sharing some of this insight with you for you to take and apply to your life. Ultimately, the point is, for a practical approach, is that you simply must imagine the thing that you want. This is the end-all be-all right here. You can have whatever you want. The screen itself is unchangeable. That's awareness. I am the Lord, I change not. Right? You cannot change the concept of time, quote unquote, right? It's a construct. It's not to be experienced. It's just something that human objective vocabulary, which is secondary to God, uses to describe. Anything that can be described by objective reality cannot change the source, cannot change the screen, can only change the contents within it. God is unchangeable. Time, this concept of a consecutive experience of reality, is designed that way. That is how we experience it. That is the world of time and space. If you want to not experience that, close your eyes. Go into the mind, you can experience it immediately. Go into the dream, experience it immediately. Or like you've been doing your whole life, is you have been manifesting your whole life. And what's been happening is you impress your subconscious mind, right? Oh, let me touch this first. It is the thought that if you rid yourself of conscious observation of your beliefs of time, then you should be able to jump time. But again, this is false, right? What is not conscious? It's unconscious. You still are left with your ledger, your beliefs. Don't believe it? Watch what happens when you begin to change it. There's a reason your world is consistent and always has been, despite your awareness of it or not. 99% of the world has no idea that their world is repeating the same pattern over and over again. But the moment you bring this to the realization, they fight it to the core and they say, I've not created this stuff. Yes, you have. And yes, you will continue to do, whether you're aware of it or not. It's what we are not aware of that is most dangerous. We should be aware of what we are not aware of. Then we will have most impact and control over our reality. When we add the concept of time to our manifestations, we actually create a delay. The only way to instill time in reality is to bring it into our consciousness. The way you can track this through experience, as you begin to accumulate the years of testing, you will find that things unfold in a natural, organic approach. They happen naturally. People think to lead to another thought and lead to another thought. Check out my videos on the Bridge of Incidents if you want more understanding as to how, I did a video just a couple times ago on how a seed works. Again, oftentimes people completely try to disregard all of what the Bible says, but then quote the Bible to kind of make their argument sound by completely eluding the rest of it. This is what modern people do that have caused wars, essentially. Take it from its proper concept, context, and non-duality, and watch. So ultimately, as I was saying, your reality can be the quickest way to manifest anything is to completely eliminate any thoughts of time whatsoever. When you imagine, you must do so from the perspective of having it now. That's the whole point of imagining. You must experience it now, not tomorrow. If you imagine it tomorrow, it's never going to come. You bring there, here. Don't imagine yourself somewhere else. Bring that somewhere else here. Don't imagine yourself sometime else. Bring then, now. And if you do that, you impress experiencing it now. That is the fastest way to manifest. You will find, test this. This is what you do. If you want the experience instead of these theoretical approaches without experience, which you can argue forever, right? It's only through experience, right, that I have the absolute rock solid confidence. I don't have beliefs. I have experience. That is such a difference. I want nothing more for than those who have been misled. It's not your fault that you've been taught things about manifesting that have let you go in the wrong direction. People who don't really have the true understanding as to where these teachings come from. Of course they're not going to know. Of course they're going to think you can switch timelines. Of course they don't know quantum physics. Of course they don't know non-duality. Of course they don't understand Hebrew. Of course they don't understand Greek. Of course they don't know the Bible. They don't know anything about it. How are you going to hear their theories and explain those to you and believe them? Do it for yourself. Do it for yourself. Imagine, experience, keep track, log it, please. And if you're going to quote sources, make sure you're using the proper context so that you yourself can get the proper understanding as well. That is what I have strived to do for over a decade. That is why I do what I do. I've been doing it for a long time. I've been obsessed over it. I have radically altered my life. I want nothing more than to share this truth. On a personal note, I have found it exceedingly hard as of late to get through the truth amongst the nonsense. I have offended people, and I have been offended. What offends me, as I said, on a personal note, is the way that I come to, or what I bring to the table is experience, right? 12 years of obsessive, addicted, systematic experience. I bring a mathematical mind. I bring a physics background. So I bring the strategic mindset. And with that, I also have what I feel to be a blessing, that I have experienced some of the most profound, powerful, mystical experiences. If you want the truth, the reason I first started blogging, the reason I first started the channel was so that I could find anybody else who had mystical experiences. Because there's much of that which I have experienced that has taught me the essence, right? So I have a conversation and I say, listen, in a mystical experience and through experience, I have been shown this. The problem that I've been facing that's been hurtful is to come across other people who don't have experience at all and who also, so really that's the key. They don't have experience. And so their opinion, they have these theories and opinions and they push it across with their charisma. And so I, who have had these mystical experiences, who have serious skin in the game, who have experienced some amazing things, who have had tens of thousands of manifestations tracked, am essentially on a platform on the same pillar as someone who essentially could have no idea what they're talking about, and I've seen this before, they just watch my channel or a series of others' channels and regurgitate this information outward. The issue with it is, it's one thing to be the teacher doing this. If that's what you want to do, go ahead. But the student now has to watch me and has to watch them. Now, there's an authenticity that you can tell is true, obviously. However, this is not always the case. And so many, many times there will be people come through who said, this person says I can jump realities. They said they've done it. They manifested something in 3 days. And what happened was, often, in most cases, and I'm sure you've seen this, yourself, they talk about the one time that they did this, right? But in my case, yes, I've done this as well. I've manifested things instantly within a day, but I would never teach that because that's only one experience. That would be a misinformation. That is, I go by statistics, data, probability, and I will not take one thing. If I manifested something instantly, but manifested 1,000 things that took days and weeks, I will not go and make a video on how to manifest instantly. But the person who has manifested something instantly, who has not manifested 1,000 things, period, only that one thing, because they just got into manifesting, they just learned about Neville, they just learned about how to systematically manifest through someone who has created a channel after watching mine, right? They will really believe this stuff because they have their week of experience or their 3 months of experience. And so it becomes hurtful to have conversations with individuals, not the conversations themselves, but to hear that they're being misled by these people who teach things that aren't necessarily true. So then I come here and I make a video to kind of give you not only my experience through the decades, but also my exhaustive studies, obsessive mindset, etc., to pave the way to kind of underpin my experience with its authenticity so that I can build the authority to prove to you to please give this a chance. I am not telling you anything. I don't have to swear anything. I don't have to do anything. What I can do is stake my life on the fact that what I've experienced over the decades has been objective. It has been sincerely free of beliefs because I myself had no skin in the game. I just wanted to live. I don't have a set of beliefs to uphold. I only have observations to report on. So it often becomes one word against another when I have this really deep, intimate sense that, I have essentially been shown some things that I feel would really benefit people. And so when it comes up against the people who don't know, they just want views, they just want subscribers, they just want money, they just want to be right. I've heard people lately who just want to manifest their SP so bad that they will ignore anything and essentially go for this concept that they can skip dimensions, completely ignoring facts, completely ignoring even quantum physics, which they used to go, completely ignoring Neville, or at least 99% of his teachings, to listen to one quote, ignoring 99% of the Bible, to hear one quote of the Bible. And it becomes exceedingly difficult. So what I ask from you is the support on what you want me to share. If you have gotten this far, then you very likely actually have enough dedication to share your opinion and make a request on a video. And I ask you now, for those of you who have watched this to the end, to cite that, and then also then suggest the video that you want to hear. Do you want to hear more about time? Do you want to hear more about Neville's teachings misheard? What do you want to hear? Do you just want to hear about how to manifest your desire? right? It will happen despite time or not. It will happen independent of time. It happens in a natural way, experience over experience, and you will watch as it comes your way. But until that point, leave comments, cite that you have watched this video, and I will appreciate that and take that into thorough consideration versus the few who don't watch and they want to bolster their argument by simply, or they get a reaction internally because I've said something. They don't watch anything and they comment something. I want to start to decipher those people from the people who are actually putting this stuff to the test, because I myself do not know everything, but what I can bring to the table is, since 2011, the systematic, obsessive interpretation of the law, the testing, tens of thousands of manifestations, probably hundreds of thousands, the teachers reading hundreds of books, and systematically putting them all to the test and coming up with a series of strategies and frameworks that you can use that will work in a predictable way. And that is what I swear by. My goal has always been to demystify manifestation in a way that can be applicable to anyone, independent of beliefs. I don't use Neville as a god. I don't use anything to bolster an argument unless it actually supports the facts. I have the actual experience and training in these fields to talk about it. So anyway, I am really excited to hear your feedback on this. If you like this video, hit the like button. It does something to the algorithm so that those who wouldn't normally be able to see this will see it. Hit the subscribe button if you want these broken down, systematic frameworks and methods on how to manifest whatever you want. Hit the bell icon to stay tuned every Tuesday and Friday. And thank you so much for watching.